He was found alone in an elevator, a man who had once commanded the world's attention with a single strum of his guitar, now lying motionless in the cold, sterile space of his own creation. For over 6 hours, perhaps longer, the body of one of the most iconic figures in music history remained undiscovered in that lift at Paisley Park, a haunting silence where there should have been the echo of a genius at work. The world didn't know it yet, but the Purple One had taken his final bow, not on a stage in front of thousands, but alone, in the very sanctuary he had built to house his endless creativity. This is the story of Prince Rogers Nelson, a man whose name was a title, whose life was a masterpiece, and whose death was a tragedy that left a hole in the soul of music itself. Prince Rogers Nelson was born on June 7, 1958, at Mount Sinai Hospital in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a city that would forever be synonymous with his purple reign. He was the son of John Lewis Nelson, a pianist and songwriter who performed under the stage name Prince Rogers, and Mattie Delashore, a jazz singer who sang with her husband's band, the Prince Rogers Trio. He was named after his father's stage persona, a name that felt like a prophecy, a crown placed upon his head before he could even walk. His younger sister, Tika Ravine, known as Tika, was born in 1960, and the two siblings shared a deep, unspoken bond forged in the crucible of a tumultuous household. Music was the lifeblood of the Nelson home. His father was a strict disciplinarian who encouraged his children's musical talents, while his mother's soulful voice filled the rooms with a longing that Prince would later channel into his own art. But the harmony of their music did not reflect the discord of their marriage, and when Prince was just 10 years old, his parents separated, shattering the fragile foundation of his childhood. The aftermath of the divorce left the young Prince adrift, splitting his time between his parents' homes, a constant state of upheaval that planted the seeds of his lifelong search for control. He eventually ran away, finding refuge with the Anderson family, neighbors who took him in and provided a sense of stability he craved. It was there he befriended their son, Andre Anderson, a friendship that would spark the first flames of his musical career. The neighborhood was a far cry from the glitz and glamour he would one day inhabit. It was a working-class world of modest homes and quiet streets, a world that the young Prince was desperate to transcend. He wrote his first song, Funk Machine, on his father's piano at the tender age of 7, a sign that the musical genius within him was already straining to break free. He taught himself to play the guitar and drums, mastering instruments with an almost supernatural ease, as if he was simply remembering skills he had always possessed. Yet, for all his talent, he was a small, shy kid who was often bullied and suffered from epileptic seizures, a vulnerability that made him feel like an outsider, a feeling he would later channel into his art with ferocious intensity. In school, Prince was a paradox. He was shy and often reclusive, yet desperate for attention, a contradiction that would define his entire life. He attended Bryant Junior High and later Minneapolis Central High School, where he was a good student and a surprisingly talented basketball player. But his true education was happening outside the classroom, in the vibrant and supportive music scene of the Minneapolis public school system. During lunch hours, music teachers would lock him in the practice room so he could play uninterrupted, a small act of kindness that nurtured a burgeoning genius. It was in high school that he formed his first band, Grand Central, with Andre Anderson and a young drummer named Morris Day. They played local talent shows and club dates, honing their skills and developing a sound that was already beginning to transcend the typical high school garage band. Grand Central eventually evolved into Champaign, gaining a foothold in the Minneapolis music scene, and at just 14, he joined another local group, 94 East, gaining invaluable experience in a professional studio environment. These were the formative years, a period of intense growth and discovery, where the raw, untamed talent of Prince Rogers Nelson was slowly being forged into the revolutionary force it would soon become. The turning point came when he was just 17. With the help of producer Chris Moon and ad man Owen Husney, Prince recorded a series of demos that showcased his extraordinary multi-instrumental abilities. The demos sparked a major label bidding war, and Prince signed a recording contract with Warner Brothers Records, making him the youngest producer in the label's history at just 19 years old. In 1978, he released his debut album, For You, an album that was a staggering display of his talent, as he played all 27 instruments on the record. The album was hailed by Billboard as the work of a one-man gangbuster, a musical phenomenon. While it only achieved modest commercial success, it was a powerful statement of intent, a declaration that a new kind of artist had arrived. He followed it up with the self-titled Prince in 1979, which featured his first top 20 hit, I Wanna Be Your Lover, a funky, irresistible track that began to build his reputation. The early 1980s saw a rapid succession of groundbreaking albums, Dirty Mind in 1980 and Controversy in 1981, records that were laced with his trademark deep synth funk and explored themes of sexuality and fantasy with a boldness that shocked and thrilled the world. The music was raw, provocative, and unlike anything else on the radio, and Prince, with his androgynous style and unapologetic swagger, was becoming a figure of fascination and controversy. But it was the 1982 release of the double album 1999 that marked his true breakthrough. The album was a critical and commercial smash, becoming his first top 10 album on the Billboard 200 and selling over 4 million copies. It produced the hit singles 1999, Little Red Corvette, and Delirious, and established him as a major force in pop music. The title track, or apocalyptic funk anthem, and Little Red Corvette, a sleek, synth-driven ode to fast cars and fast women, were inescapable on MTV, their groundbreaking music videos cementing Prince's status as a visual icon. The album's success was a prelude to the cultural earthquake that was about to hit. In 1984, Prince and his new backing band, The Revolution, released Purple Rain. It was more than just an album. It was a multimedia phenomenon. The semi-autobiographical film of the same name, in which Prince starred, was a massive box office success, grossing nearly $70 million in the US alone. The soundtrack was a masterpiece, spending a staggering 24 consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200. It produced the #1 singles When Doves Cry and Let's Go Crazy, as well as the epic, soul-stirring title track Purple Rain. For his work on the film, Prince won the Academy Award for Best Original Song Score, and he took home 2 Grammy Awards. The year 1984 belonged to Prince. He was simultaneously the biggest star in music, film, and pop culture, a trinity of success that few have ever achieved. He was a king, and his reign was absolute. The peak of his career was a dizzying period of relentless creativity and staggering output. He released Around the World in a Day in 1985, which featured the whimsical hit Raspberry Beret. In 1986, he released Parade, the soundtrack to his second film, Under the Cherry Moon, which included the #1 single Kiss. After disbanding The Revolution, he released the critically acclaimed double album Sign o' the Times in 1987, often hailed as his greatest artistic achievement. He then released Love Sexy in 1988, and in 1989, he created the soundtrack for Tim Burton's Batman, which produced the hit Bat Dance. He was a hit-making machine, releasing an album a year, each one a bold experiment in sound and style. Over the course of his legendary career, he would release 39 studio albums, sell over 100 million records worldwide, and win 7 Grammy Awards, 7 Brit Awards, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award. In 2004, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility, a fitting tribute to an artist who had irrevocably changed the landscape of popular music. His performances were legendary, from his electrifying Super Bowl 41 halftime show to countless sold-out world tours that showcased his virtuosic musicianship and magnetic stage presence. He was a master of his craft, a genius who redefined what it meant to be a pop star. Yet, for all his public success, Prince's personal life was a complex and often guarded tapestry of love, loss, and fierce independence. He was notoriously private, a man who built walls around his heart as high as the walls around his Paisley Park compound. He was married twice. His first marriage was to Maite Garcia, a beautiful belly dancer he had met when she was just 16. They were married on Valentine's Day in 1996, and later that year, they had a son, Amir. The joy of his birth was tragically short-lived. The baby died just 6 days later due to a rare genetic disorder known as Pfeiffer syndrome. The loss was a devastating blow from which their marriage could not recover, and they divorced in 2000. He married again in 2001 to Canadian businesswoman Manuela Testolini, but that marriage also ended in divorce in 2006. He had several other high-profile relationships, including a brief romance with Madonna and dalliances with Carmen Electra and Kim Basinger. He surrounded himself with a rotating cast of beautiful women and talented musicians, yet he often seemed to be a solitary figure, a man who lived in a world of his own making. His lifestyle at the height of his fame was one of opulent isolation. He lived in Paisley Park, a sprawling 65,000 square foot complex in Chanhassen, Minnesota, that served as his home, recording studio, and creative sanctuary. Valued at over $10 million, it was a world unto itself, a place where he could control every aspect of his environment and shut out the outside world. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $300 million, a fortune built on his music and his fierce protection of his artistic property. He wore the finest clothes, drove the fastest cars, and lived like a rock star, but he was never truly comfortable in the spotlight he had created. His life, however, was not without its darker chapters. He was a man of deep contradictions, a sexual icon who later became a devout Jehovah's Witness, a man who craved the spotlight yet fiercely guarded his privacy. He had a well-documented, contentious relationship with his record label, Warner Brothers, leading to a highly publicized battle in the 1990s where he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol, becoming known as the artist formerly known as Prince in a protest against what he saw as artistic slavery. He was a pioneer in the fight for artists' rights, an early advocate for creative control and ownership who fought against the industry's exploitation of musicians. His religious conversion was a source of constant public fascination and internal conflict, as he attempted to reconcile his faith with the provocative nature of his earlier work, even going door-to-door as a Jehovah's Witness preacher. He was a man of fierce independence, and his uncompromising nature often made him a difficult figure to work with, leading to fallouts with collaborators and a sense of isolation that only intensified with age. As he moved into his 50s, Prince's relentless drive began to take a devastating physical toll. Years of performing in high heels, doing splits, and jumping off speakers had ravaged his hips and knees, leaving him in chronic, debilitating pain. To cope, he became dependent on painkillers, a secret addiction that he hid from even his closest friends. In the weeks and months before his death, the signs of his struggle were becoming harder to conceal. In the final days of his life, he was a man in agony, both physically and mentally. On April 14, 2016, he performed a show in Atlanta, Georgia, but he was visibly unwell, reportedly suffering from flu. His plane made an emergency landing in Moline, Illinois, on April 15th, where he was found unconscious and treated with Narcan, a drug used to reverse opioid overdoses. His team urged him to seek help, but the fiercely independent star refused, insisting he was fine. Just days before his death, he was photographed picking up medication at a local pharmacy, a final, desperate act to manage the pain that was consuming him. Those who saw him in his final days describe him as looking gaunt and fragile, a shadow of the vibrant, energetic performer who had once commanded the world stages. The end came on Thursday, April 21, 2016. Prince was found unresponsive in an elevator at his Paisley Park estate. He had likely been dead for more than 6 hours before he was discovered. An autopsy later revealed that he had died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 times more powerful than heroin. The world was stunned. News of his death spread like wildfire, and a collective gasp of disbelief echoed across the globe. He was only 57 years old. Tributes poured in from presidents, popes, and fellow musicians, all struggling to comprehend the loss of a once-in-a-generation talent. Fans gathered outside Paisley Park, leaving flowers, purple balloons, and handwritten notes, creating a makeshift shrine to their fallen idol. The man who had given the world so much joy had died in profound loneliness, a tragic end for an artist who had spent his entire life trying to connect with the world through his music. In the aftermath of his death, the focus shifted to his legacy. Prince was cremated, and his ashes were placed in a custom-designed urn and put on display at Paisley Park. A small, private memorial service was held for his closest family and friends. There was no grand public funeral, just as he would have wanted. The true memorial was the outpouring of grief and adoration from the millions of fans whose lives he had touched. His music skyrocketed in sales, and his influence was felt across every genre of popular music. He left behind a fortune estimated at over $300 million and a legendary vault of unreleased music, a treasure trove that will be debated and discovered for generations to come. His legacy, however, is far greater than the sum of his wealth or his unreleased recordings. He was a pioneer, a trailblazer who defied categorization. He challenged the very notions of race, gender, and sexuality, and he fought for artistic freedom in a way that inspired countless artists who came after him. From Beyoncé to Justin Timberlake, from Pharrell to Janelle Monáe, the DNA of modern pop music is infused with the spirit of Prince. He was a master of his craft, a virtuoso on dozens of instruments, a visionary producer, and an electrifying performer. He was, quite simply, one of the greatest musicians who ever lived. And yet, his story is also a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most brilliant lights can be extinguished by the demons they carry within. He gave us songs that made us dance, that made us cry, that made us think, and that made us feel alive. In the end, he was a man who gave everything he had to his art, leaving behind a world that is infinitely richer for his having been in it. The doves may have stopped crying, but the echo of his music, the whisper of his genius, will resonate through the ages, a timeless reminder of the power of a singular vision. As we reflect on his life, from the troubled kid in Minneapolis to the global icon who redefined pop culture, we are left with the profound sense that we were lucky to have witnessed his reign. If you were moved by the life of Prince, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the Before Die channel, and share your favorite memory of the purple one in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another untold story of the legends we've lost. Thank you for watching.